How you find someone, though, who isn't actively looking and get them to raise a hand and say, "Here I am," while simultaneously assessing their fit. That's the new recruitment paradigm. And it's not an easy feat. You all know that. A clear understanding of each and every prospect is needed before even the first call. To attract the best requires a recruiting campaign custom tailored for each and every prospect. The Perry Martel Inside Out approach provides the means to both discover and speak to each prospect's why. Engaged in this way, Tier 1 talent will select to actively pursue the opportunity presented. Research is the cornerstone of every recruiting project, and everybody knows on the call that I'm a Zoom Info proponent, have been for more than almost 2 decades. Research must underpin every action you take. Time to hire has become an imperative for success because clients compete for talent on a global basis, and the best talent get calls from recruiters all over the globe every week. To be successful, you must work to understand what drives a prospect before you make the initial approach. This is very time-consuming, but a little tenacious upfront spade work will have a tremendous impact on prospect engagement. Your first list of targeted prospects is often composed largely of individuals who not only haven't applied for the role, but may not even know your organization exists. This is why each prospective candidate must be contacted personally one at a time to introduce the role and assess their fit. And to do that, you need to understand who they are as professionals and people before you try to engage them. Not easy. You can see here the network of possibilities for identifying people is deep. But what do you do once you have the list? Well, that's easy. You get personal. If you're using Zoom Info, you'll have noticed that everyone's profile has a LinkedIn or Facebook tag next to it. And there are also dozens of links to information sources that relate to them, the person you've pulled up. For example, newspapers, magazines, and even online articles, as well as awards and speeches. But also there'll be direct links back to their LinkedIn and Facebook profiles. Our researchers use this to discover unique information that I can use to open a conversation later. Now, so it's no secret, again, I'm a huge Zoom Info advocate, having been one of the first beta testers almost 2 decades ago, and I found their automatic summarization means Zoom Info is more inclusive than any other information source. For example, while a recent study showed that 80% of Fortune 500 CEOs were not on LinkedIn, we could find them all through Zoom Info. But that's not all. It's how you manipulate the data after you've found it where the magic really begins with Zoom. After running a search in Zoom Info, we import the data directly into our CRM. We've been using Invenius for 5 years or so and recently discovered VanillaSoft. Both are excellent and very affordable. We tested more than 70 while we were writing Executive Recruiting for Dummies. Now, these are the 2 that I recommend. Invenius was originally built by search professionals to run their own business, and it actually has a built-in ATS that can pull data from Zoom Info as well as LinkedIn and other sources that you can specify. VanillaSoft is one of just a handful of players that utilize what's called queue-based lead routing to move sales activities forwards. It's great for recruiters, researchers, and sourcers or inside sales teams that need to make hundreds of calls and manage thousands of candidates. The SMS messaging feature is a powerful tool if a lot of the activity involves mobile communications, and more today, we all know that it does. And it integrates with Salesforce, should you already be using that. That's just a big benefit. So step 6, talent excitement. This is where the rubber hits the road. There are 3 gates here. The first gate is making initial contact, and it's done by phone. And here's where the research that we've done in step 5 makes it possible to tightly target prospects using Zoom, hone the message, and deliver it to the prospect in a way that creates interest. The position profile that we created in step 3 is now introduced in a very low-key, matter-of-fact manner. I may open up the call by introducing myself and then saying something like, "I enjoyed reading your article on nuclear fusion," or "I noticed in your bio that." This is most often information that we pulled off Zoom about the prospect. Then I'll have a brief conversation about the nature of the call and offer to send them the position profile to review. We already know they're qualified. We already know they have all the experience. We pulled all that data out of Zoom info and used other sources to verify it, right? So I won't pitch an opportunity if they ask me to describe the role. I refuse to do that. I'll always defer by saying something like, I can't do this justice on the phone. Better you sit down and read the overview when you've got 10 minutes of quiet time, and we'll follow up in a couple of days. Can I have a private email address? And off it goes. The second gate, the follow-up call, is made a few days later. Again, I'm using the phone, and I'm using the phone to gauge the prospect's reaction to the position profile and to introduce the confidential candidate brief that we wrote. And because we're able to speak from a reference point of knowledge about the prospect, their current company, their industry, and its challenges, they welcome the offer to complete the confidential candidate brief. And I explained that it takes about 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, but many people put much more time into it because now they're auditioning for the job. Third gate, qualifying the prospect. Having reviewed the confidential candidate brief that they complete and send back to us and obtained an appreciation of that prospect's take on their fit to the role, this third phone call is designed to answer their questions and qualify them. This is a screening call where I get a better understanding of their career and their motivations, and I only have to ask them one question and then sit back and listen. With the confidential candidate brief in hand, we can probe their career history to obtain a deep understanding of the fit and to assess what motivates and drives them. We close this by qualifying each prospect's commitment to put in the time and energy required to meaningfully audition for the role. Now, you probably noticed that I just used the term audition for the role, and I did so deliberately because now the hunted have become the hunters. That's very significant as candidate control is now yours. You have a list of Tier 1 talent at the end of Stage 3 who want the job. This is how you find someone who isn't actively looking and get them to raise their hand and say, here I am, while simultaneously assessing their fit. From the very first contact, the recruiting process strikes the right note. This process successfully addresses the new recruitment paradigm we're all in, and it results in a short list of Tier 1 talent who are not only qualified, but actually want the role.